Never let your enemies know your next move, especially when they humiliate you in front of the prettiest girl in school on your very first day. If you've ever been completely crushed, insulted, and left standing while the entire room laughed at you, listen closely, because exactly 48 hours after they tried to ruin my life, I didn't just get even. I pulled off a psychological counterstrike so flawless, it forced the entire school to realize they weren't dealing with an easy target. They were dealing with the smartest person in the building. This is the story of how a single hallway trap turned a social outcast into an absolute legend. It all started on a Tuesday, first day at a brand new school. For someone like me, the goal was simple: blend into the background, keep my head down, and observe the landscape. I've always been an observer. I analyze patterns, look at how people interact, and read the room before I even open my mouth. But the moment I stepped through the heavy double doors of the main building, my entire strategy evaporated. Through the crowd, I saw her. Her name was Ananya. She was standing by the lockers, laughing with a few friends. It sounds like a total cliche, but time honestly felt like it slowed down. She had this effortless charm, a completely magnetic presence, and an energy that just commanded the room without trying. I stood there for a fraction of a second too long, completely captivated. My brain, which usually calculates things with flawless logic, completely glitched out. I was staring, and in a high school ecosystem, staring makes you an immediate target. Before I could snap myself out of it, a heavy arm slammed down onto the locker right next to my head. The loud bang echoed through the corridor, instantly drawing the attention of every single student nearby. The social sharks had spotted new blood. Enter Raghav, 6'2", expensive jacket, and the undisputed king of the school's toxic hierarchy. He noticed me looking at Ananya, and he instantly saw an opportunity to flex his dominance. "Hey, look guys, the new kid is already lost in a daydream," Raghav announced, his voice booming across the hallway. Suddenly, a circle formed. Dozens of students stopped walking. My heart rate started spiking, but I forced my face to stay completely blank. Raghav grabbed my new backpack right off my shoulder, zipped it open, and aggressively dumped the entire contents onto the floor. Notebooks, pens, and my personal files scattered across the dirty tiles. But he wasn't done. He kicked my main notebook right across the floor. It slid and stopped directly at Ananya's sneakers. "Pick it up, new kid," Raghav sneered, leaning in. "Let's see how fast you can clean up your mess." Everyone started smiling. It wasn't just a quiet smirk. It was an entire hallway of people whispering, pointing, and enjoying the free entertainment. I looked up. Ananya was standing right there. She looked genuinely startled, caught completely off guard by the sudden cruelty. Being ragged and publicly insulted in front of the one person you want to impress is a specific type of burning humiliation that stays with you forever. I didn't yell. I didn't swing a punch. Fighting back physically against a guy twice your size is what an amateur does. If you want to destroy an opponent like Raghav, you don't break his bones. You break his reputation. I knelt down, quietly gathered my things, looked Raghav dead in the eyes, and memorized every single detail of his behavior. The trap was already being set in my mind. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't complain. I went straight to my desk, opened my laptop, and began analyzing the school's digital infrastructure. You see, Raghav's entire power dynamic relied on two things: his massive ego and his group of followers who thought he was untouchable. If I could expose the reality behind his facade, his entire kingdom would crumble. The upcoming event was the annual school trivia and intelligence bowl, a massive high-stakes competition held in the main auditorium where the entire student body, including all the faculty, gathered to watch the top students compete for the ultimate academic title. Raghav always entered this competition because his wealthy family paid for private tutors to feed him the answers beforehand, allowing him to coast to an easy victory every year to look like a genius. I spent the next 48 hours studying the school's central server patterns, reverse engineering the exact sequence of the automated testing system, and preparing myself. I didn't just study the curriculum, I studied the exact psychology of how the questions were generated. I became a ghost in the system, preparing an intellectual counterstrike so precise he would never see it coming. Thursday morning, the auditorium was packed to maximum capacity. Hundreds of students were chanting Raghav's name. As I walked onto the stage to take the opposing podium, Raghav leaned over his microphone and whispered, "Ready to get embarrassed again, new kid?" The crowd laughed. The memory of the hallway humiliation was still fresh, but this time I just smiled back. The competition began. The automated screen flashed complex physics formulas, advanced calculus equations, and historical data patterns. For the first 5 rounds, Raghav was fast. He buzzed in instantly, reciting answers with arrogant ease. The crowd went wild, but then the final double points round hit. This was where the private tutoring answers ended, and raw analytical speed took over. The question appeared on the massive screen, a theoretical multivariable calculus problem that that would normally take 10 minutes to solve on paper. The countdown timer started at 30 seconds. Raghav stared at the screen. His face went completely pale. His fingers twitched over the buzzer, but his mind was totally blank. The private leaked answers hadn't prepared him for a dynamic system shift. I hit my button with exactly 25 seconds left on the clock. Without a single piece of scratch paper, I looked directly at the judges and spoke clearly into the microphone, breaking down the entire complex algorithm step by step in mere seconds, ending with the flawless final answer. The head judge stared at his screen in absolute shock and announced, "Correct, flawless execution." The entire auditorium erupted into absolute chaos. Raghav's jaw dropped. The guy who tried to paint me as an easy target was left standing in total silent humiliation under the bright stage lights, exposed completely. As I walked off that stage, the entire social dynamic of the school shifted in an instant. I wasn't the new kid who got ragged anymore. I was officially the smartest student in the school, the one who beat the system with nothing but raw intellect. And as I passed the front row, Ananya caught my eye. This time, she wasn't looking with pity. She gave me a genuine, highly respectful smile and nodded. The ultimate lesson: never waste your energy on anger. Use that energy to become completely undeniable. If you enjoyed this journey from the bottom to the absolute top, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and drop a comment below on how you would have handled Raghav. Stay sharp, chat. See you in the next story.